I was on the outside looking, stirring up the pot too hot what I'm cooking. Out back trying to get in until I realize I don't even think I fit in. Already got what it takes, got options, okay, nobody stop me today. Turning the keys to the safe, pushing through the gate, now I'm seizing the day. Grinding, I'ma put the time in, diamond, go and turn it up till I'm shining. Wildin', breakneck speed when I'm driving, silence, I'm just trying to check the mileage. Now I'm going up like a pilot, Houston, I don't think they used to the problem. I got a boost with the crowd, get loud now, yeah, I'm coming down and get ready or not. I'm coming in hot, ready or not. I'm coming in hot. Are you ready? Ready? Coming in hot if you ready or not. If you ready or not. If you ready or not. I'm coming in hot if you ready or not. Guess who came with the danger? Look at how far we came up. Worlds apart, we like strangers. Bet they wish they could change us. Don't hold your breath, I've been waiting for this moment. Behold the best. Top secret in the world, we control the steps. We waiting for our time, now we are the great. This is how you overcome. Never quit, get until it's overdone. Ain't where they at, I feel like I'm the only one. The passion, hold on out cause we just begun. It's my time, the break's on. High ground, take off. Shake off, wake off. I'm coming in. You ready or not? I'm coming in. Are you ready? I'm coming in hot if you ready or not. You ready or not? You ready or not? I'm coming in hot if you ready or not. Turn it up till I'm shining, wildin', breakneck speed when I'm driving, silence, I'm just trying to check the mileage. Now I'm going up like a pilot, Houston, I don't think they used to the problem. I got a boost with the crowd, get loud now, yeah, I'm coming down if you ready or not. I'm coming in hot, if you ready or not. I'm coming in hot. Are you ready? Coming in hot if you ready or not. Look at how far we came up. Worlds apart, we like strangers. Bet they wish they could change us. Don't hold your breath, I've been waiting for this moment. Behold the best. Top secret in the world, we control the steps. We waiting for our time, now we are the great. This is how you overcome. Never quit, get until it's overdone. Ain't where they at, I feel like I'm the only one. Passion, hold on out cause we just begun. It's my time, the break's on. High ground, take off. Shake off, wake off. I'm coming in. You ready or not? I'm coming in. Are you ready?
Welcome, everyone. It is Behind the Voice night. As you know, if you've been paying attention to the page, my guest tonight, no introduction really needed here, but let me find his damn music. Where's it at? Here we are. He's a former world champion, a good friend of mine, one hell of a flag waver for Revolution. I give to you the Warden.
don't know me, they know they can't hold me. The one and the only, they call him OG. I come from the bottom, say get him, I got him. As soon as I spot him, get swept off your feet. Hit him with the blah blah, chicka chicka pop pop. Show you how to run a motherfucker 16. What's some robot Briscoe on the motherfucking beat? Bitch, you put us together when you want some heat. They say I'm too country, they say I'm too street. Bitch, I am the Genghis Khan. Real ain't even really real no more. They a lying and put it on God. Talking all that certified gangster shit, bitch.
What's up, guys?
What's going on? What the fuck? I got flagged again. For what?
Oh, Jesus. Stump.
What? Stump. What?
Damn, Fred.
Fred is a bad example.
Fred is a bad influence on you,
Is it
man.
Fred or is it fucking Hollywood? Maybe Hollywood's the bad example. And Fred's getting all the blame because it's not just Fred is his new surrounding the company that he's hanging out with. It's also fucking Hollywood. So,
Oh, man.
maybe Hollywood's the bad example. Anyways, we got Richard, aka the Warden, here with us tonight on Behind the Voice. For you that does not know, if you've never watched Behind the Voice before, this is where we sit down with promo stars and we take and we pull and we take a peek behind the curtain and look at the people behind who play these characters. And it's not a such serious show where, we go over here shit talking other wrestlers and all that kind of stuff. So, or the promo artists, I shall say, not wrestlers. It's not real wrestling. I don't give a damn how bad you want it to be.
Fantasy world.
Oh, goodness. Well, first up, as everyone knows, we usually go all the way back. Mr. Richard, why don't you tell everyone where you was born? Where are you from? Your roots?
I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. Moved to South Florida in 1988.
Fuck out of here.
And I'm soaking in the sunshine in South Florida since 1989.
It's not. I ain't going back. I feel you, man. I know you're married. You have children. What is it you do again for a living?
Actually, a little bit of background on me. I work at a senior living facility and just recently got promoted. So I'm the lead guy. Another little thing that nobody knows about me is me and you also have something in common. I am the single father of a child with autism. My son is 21. He's autistic. The lady I'm with now is not his mom. Mom walked out on him at the age of 9. Dad stepped up, and I've been representing and taking care of him, and his needs. Still doing it to this day. Hey guys, my kid is my whole world. My life revolves around him. The lady that I'm with now, she respect that. She came into the picture. She didn't have to be the mother role she is, but she stepped up to the plate, and she's more of a mother than his own birth mother.
Hey, sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes it's for the best. I guess you could say I can definitely relate to that. So, well, I have to ask everyone this. Of course, if you're a promo person, everyone knows that usually you started off as a wrestling fan. And clearly, judging by your background, anyone can see, as Mr. Matt said, here, look at them belts.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's only one wall. I got another one on this way. And soon to be another one on this way.
It's clear that you are a wrestling fan. So, when you were growing up, as you said, you got both flag banners back there. So, when you were growing up, what was your favorite promotion to watch? Was it WWE, WWF, or WCW? Was you more into the older stuff for the territories? What was it?
Well, growing up, WWF was, of course, the deal back then. That was the thing going on. We did have the NWA and then, the WCW as well. I was more into WWF. Then I have a cousin of mine that got me into the NWA, then the AWA. We used to do what was called tape sharing when they had a pay-per-view, we would share VHS tapes back and forth. And that's how we watched pay-per-views and stuff back there, or events that went on.
Oh yeah, I remember easily there being like 10 people would come over to my house, and pay-per-view be $40, what everybody put in on it, and put in on pay-per-view and pizza or whatever the case may be. That's how we watched them, and we did it for both. Like that was the thing. Like that's what was great about my household. I had fans of both around me, so we did it for WCW and for WWF. And there wasn't too many pay-per-views we missed, no matter damn how big they were, how much. If we just ordered one last month or whatever the case may be, I'm pretty sure back then I think it was RCA satellites is what it was. It's the little bitty RCA ones, you know. So it was RCA satellites. They got a lot of our fucking money. Let's just put it that way.
Oh yeah, I remember going to the one kid that had cable on the block. We all went to their house, or they came to our house, depending on what was on and who had what.
Yeah. Give me some of your top five. Now, I always ask the top five, but I know it's hard to narrow it down to five. I can't narrow it down to five, but who are some of your favorite guys in the business that
like today or back then?
All together.
Oh, that's hard.
That's super hard. Super hard. It's very hard for me to judge. I don't like to do the era bashing. Like I don't like doing it in sports either. You know, when they say, "Oh, well, this player's better than that player," well, okay, maybe for that generation, but you don't know because they never worked together and they never will. You never can, you know, you can't never put this person with that person or whatever. So, yeah, it's hard, man. For me to know.
If I had to pick growing up, when I was a little kid, Hogan was my number one because my dad resembled almost. He may not have looked like him, but his actions were like Hulk Hogan. And when we watched wrestling together, he would always pretend like he was Hogan. You know what I mean? He would do the pose down and everything. And I was really into Hogan. That was the first wrestler that I was actually into. Hogan, let's see. I would say Hulk Hogan, of course, Bob Backlund back in the day. If I would have to say new era, I would have to say Stone Cold, The Undertaker, and John Cena. I'll probably get some shit for that, but
yeah, I can't put John Cena in nothing serious top five.
It's not always what they do in the ring; it's also what they do out of the ring for me. And I remember when Undertaker first broke kayfabe when he did a Make-A-Wish, and that made me a fan of his from that point on.
Yeah, John Cena's done more than anyone has when it comes to Make-A-Wish Foundation stuff. Have to ask. If we're talking management, if we're talking managers, did you like Jim Cornette? Are you a Jim Cornette guy?
He was all right. He was a little whiny for my taste. But if I had to pick, I would say either a four or pick five of them. I'd have to put Bobby the Brain Heenan as number one, Captain Lou Albano as number two, Paul Heyman as number three.
You know, Captain Lou is one name that keeps getting left out every time I ask about managers, and I've not said nothing. I've always thought no one has said Captain Lou yet on the show. Every time I ask that question, Captain Lou gets skipped.
Yeah, I would definitely have to say Captain Lou because, you know, I've watched him with Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham, you know, when I was younger.
Yeah.
Now, who would be the last one? I would have to say.
People forget how pop culture Captain Lou was too.
Oh yeah, when that rock and wrestling.
Crawford. Yeah, Cindy Crawford and all that stuff. He was very pop culture, man.
Oh yeah,
for the time he was always on TV. He did like little skits and stuff on TV. If they ever had wrestling stuff on there, usually Lou would be on there with the fucking Samoans or some shit, you know, doing things. So it was always cool, man.
My last one would have to be Slick.
I'll give you
because he doesn't get mentioned that much neither.
Yeah, that's true. I have to always ask the very controversial question also. When you hear the name Vince Russo,
Um, I can admit back in the day, in the beginning of the heyday of when it went from World Championship Wrestling or whatever you want to call it back then before it was WCW, then it came into the Monday Night Nitro, the Thunder, and everything. It was pretty good. Don't get me wrong. But the thing that got me with Vince Russo was when he wanted it. I'm very fuzzy though with my memory with certain things, but he wanted either Hogan to lay down or Jarrett to lay down and let Hogan pin him.
yeah,
That's when it went with me.
yeah, that shit was pretty terrible. That was an embarrassing moment, like for wrestling, because that's when you
'Cause I,
knew it
wa-
was over. That's when
I
you knew it
watched
was
it
over.
live and it was like, it's like,
Yeah, I don't blame him solely responsible for killing WCW because regardless of what he says, I have to give a lot of heat to Kevin Nash and those guys and the way they booked stuff and buried people. Kevin Nash, I didn't start booking until this time of period. That might have been true with Goldberg, motherfucker. But what about all the other people you buried? I mean, like, come on, man. Let's be real. Y'all buried a lot of people to keep putting yourselves over. So I just don't. I don't know. There was a lot of factors in WCW, Foden.
oh, definitely.
Who would you say was your favorite luchador?
My favorite luchador, I would have to say Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio. Yeah, he's always going to have to be up there because of the stuff they did. Now I can't stand to watch him. I'll be honest with you. It makes me I can't. Oh.
No, I don't like what they're doing now, but like back then, it would
Well,
be Eddie Guerrero or Rey Mysterio.
Ray's getting his money. That's what Ray's doing right now. Ray's getting his
definitely.
money. So
Definitely.
Ray has the same match every night. And he does the same setup, the same things just about every week. It's the same story. He tells the same thing, and he does the same. So he's been telling the underdog story for 20 years now. And the only thing that's changed is he sprinkled in Eddie Guerrero's death on top of it. I'll just be honest with you. That's what Ray's done for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Ray's just it's boring. It's boring. It's not his fault. It's just went stale. And I don't blame him for getting his dollars. Fuck, he's been in the business forever. WWE's going to pay you, 6 figures, 7 figures to come in here and work fucking here and there and do little stupid shit. Then yeah, I don't blame him for fucking doing it. But yeah, I definitely put him up there. I always had La Parka up there, even though he really wasn't.
Yeah, La Parka was good too.
I just don't consider him really a luchador because of how big he was. La Parka
yeah.
was a monster. He was a big dude.
Oh,
yeah. When you say luchador, I think smaller dudes, but La Parka definitely was up there.
I remember when Eddie lost his mask.
Yeah.
When Eddie used to wear the mask, and then he had the hair match. I remember that too.
I remember Psychosis and Juventud Guerrero and
Juventud Guerrero, OJ.
Yeah. Those were some good. Those were some really good matches, man. Especially for their time, because you were so used to seeing boring wrist locks, and holds, and shit like that. And that shit got boring.
Well, the fast pace. Every time you seen a match, it was fast paced. You were glued to the TV.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I say it all the time. It's literally what got me watching WCW. Other than the fact that Hogan had went over there at that time. Other than Hogan and Macho and those guys being over, it was what actually got me. And that shit to me was more entertaining most of the time than
Malenko was another one that had me hooked.
Yeah, Malenko was awesome, man.
Chris Benoit.
The matches that was such a mix. It was such a mixed variety because you had like Jericho versus Malenko, or then you had Malenko versus Benoit, Benoit versus Jericho, Eddie versus Jericho, Eddie versus Dean Malenko. It went all these different directions you could go with those handful of guys. That's why it was such a big moment when those guys came to WWE and jumped ship from WCW and come over. You had Jericho, then the rest of them came. And it was like, what the fuck? This is
You know,
awesome.
another person they don't mention anymore, Perry Saturn.
Barry Saturn.
He came over with them guys.
WWE didn't do him no favors. You
No,
know,
not at all.
they didn't do that. They didn't do poor Perry no favors. But Perry had great matches. If you go back and watch those ECW matches that Perry had, that was fucking awesome, man. Perry was good in the ring. And by God, he made the fucking Moppy gimmick work. That was punishment. That was a punishment gimmick. But by God, he made it fucking work. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I love how that's the moments that I think about sometimes with wrestling that people will take away from, like, well, Vince buried Perry. You know, Vince buried Perry. Yes, but at the same time, Perry got the last laugh in a way. Perry's like, you tried to bury me, and I made that fucking bullshit work.
Look at what's his name, Big Vito. The same thing.
Yeah,
he got buried.
Yep,
but he made it work.
Made it work. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll answer a few more questions, and then we'll get around to the good old over and under segment that everyone likes to play along with. So we shall be back.
So you've spent your life as a wrestling fan. Have you gotten bored of what you've seen on TV and thought to yourself that with your creativity and artistic talent, if you were in control of the characters, you could make an awesome show? Welcome to Revolution. Use your promo skills to play the part, become the star, and compete for real championship belts. Whether your style is bare bones, or you're an outbreak or tag team talent, or even if you want to compete for the grand prize, the Revolution World Championship. It's real fun, real easy, and you can become a champion holding a real belt. Join today.
The Revolution World Championship.
That is a sick belt, though.
It is. Too bad it's on an asshole. He likes to post screen grabs because he's a fucking dick. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's see here. Here's a good question. Would you consider yourself a sports entertainment guy or a pro wrestling guy? That's a hot topic before Chris Jericho thinks he made it.
I would have to say a pro wrestling guy. Because, you know, the sports entertainment shit is going away. It's fading fast. I mean, I like a good storyline, and I like a good, like a build-up to a match. And you don't see that these days.
And on Raw, Mick. I think it's supposed to be one. It says one WNE, the WWE World Championship. Was we talking about that?
I don't know.
Maybe we was. Here's a good question. Favorite Revolution gimmick?
My favorite Revolution gimmick since I've been here, I would have to say there's two of them. I'm a fan of Stumpy the Clown, and I'm also a fan of Tostradamus.
Stumpy's got a fan.
You know,
Tell Fred to suck on that, buddy.
Yeah, I've seen the growth in everybody, and Stump's got something, and I think he should stick with it, man.
I'm telling you, man, I brag about that gimmick all the time, and I mean, really, he come out and kind of got to rub everyone's face in it, because I don't care. When you see someone who's already struggling, and then they bring you a goofy gimmick like that, because Stump was already struggling with wins, so then he brings you a goofy gimmick, and you're like, okay, let him do it. If he fails, then he knows, you know.
Yep.
And then he did it, and it was like, well, this is fucking great. Okay, I was wrong. I'm man enough to admit that when I'm wrong. And that's only because I thought it had been done so many times before, but the way he does it is entertaining. The spin that they put on it is entertaining. The Fred factor is entertaining, and I thought that shit was going to be stupid as hell. Also,
Oh no.
Anyway, how did you come up with the Warden? What made you want to use the name the Warden?
Well, funny story. Way back when I first started this promo thing, I used to wear a mask, and I used to use the voice changer. You know, I was never a public speaker. I was never a person to be in front of the camera, live and being around a lot of people. So I started with the mask, and then I got a PM from a guy. I used to belong in a faction called The Faction. Believe it or not, we were all from New York.
How fucking creative!
Um,
That's like when a town names a mall, the mall. I love it, man. It's awesome.
So the one guy goes, and I was going by the name of Sam Hain. That was my gimmick with the mask and everything. He's like, no, you're the fucking Warden. He said, you use the name the Warden. He goes, your last name is Ward. It's Warden now. That's what you're going to call yourself, the Warden.
He's like, I'm the Warden? I'm the Warden. All right.
So I'm like, I'll go with that.
Who would you say is the biggest dick in the business?
In the promo business?
I mean, we can answer, but we can answer both. We can answer both. I'm just saying. I was asking wrestling business, but if you
the biggest dick in the wrestling business. Let's see. Oh man, there's a couple people I could think of. I really can't pinpoint one particular person.
If you had to have like a hate list of wrestlers, who would it be?
A hate list of wrestlers. Oh man, there's one guy I can't stand from back in the day. Was it Gilbert? Gilbert. That's it. Gilbert.
The rip off Goldberg.
And then what's his name? The dude that was with Carmella. The blonde-headed guy. James Ellsworth.
Yeah, James Ellsworth.
That's another guy.
The only thing I feel like he was great for was set up moments for jokes about how stupid he looked. But they got some pretty good proof on him, so that's why
you could only play on that so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The other thing that was funny was when Jericho called him Chintz McMahon or whatever the fuck it was.
Oh yeah.
He's like, yeah, Chintz McMahon. He's like, what the fuck is that? He's like, security.
Yeah, I can't really pinpoint a wrestler that actually. Oh man.
I can have a bunch I can't stand. I mean,
that's a tough one. I mean, personally, I can't stand. Jesus. They come on the TV and I just can't. I just have to walk away. That Ricky, whatever his name is in AEW, I can't stand that guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
The one with the FTW title, I can't stand him.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of him either, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that whole Taz faction that they have.
That's going to be breaking up soon. I have a feeling that's going to happen.
And I'm not a fan of like I said that. Was it Friday night? They're supposed to have Hobbs and Lee in a match, and I'm just like, dude, that might be a yawner. You know what I mean? Like it might be a yawner. I'm not saying that Hobbs can't be something, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling him. I just don't feel Tyler Hobbs.
You know who he reminds me of? Back in WCW, remember Ice Train?
Ice Train.
That's who he reminds me of.
Shit. Holy shit. I didn't even think about that. I ain't heard that fucking name in forever.
That's who he reminds me of.
Well, it's time for the over and under segment. This is where I have a list of names. These names have been going over before. Sometimes I skip some of them. Sometimes I don't. It just depends on the mood. Basically what it is, I say one word. this word could be a wrestler's name. It could be a pay-per-view. It could be anything that's wrestling related. And basically you give me your thoughts on it, sir.
All right.
Let's start with Bullet Club.
It was good when it began. And then when they started one leader out, the other one in. When AJ was in, I liked it. Finn Balor was in, I liked it. Then it started to go.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I just think it's been played out for too long.
Oh yeah.
Well, this definitely needs updated. They got the inner circle here. We don't have to talk about them no more, do we? Let's see here. How did you feel? All right, the Poke of Doom. Was that good for business or bad for business there?
Bad.
I agree. Rampage.
Rampage? I actually like it, to be honest with you.
If I had to bitch about it, I would say it needs to come on earlier, and I wouldn't mind it being 2 hours. Especially with all the talent that he's starting to sign. Now he's starting to get enough talent, he can start filling these cards up more. The hour show was kind of boring. Most of the time you got one good match and it comes on at fucking 9 o'clock, and by then my eyes was already starting to roll in the back of my head.
Or 2 fillers at the end.
Yeah. Something. The Young Bucks.
I liked them in the beginning when they were with the Bullet Club. Now that they're in AEW, I don't like them as much as when they were over in New Japan, but I could tolerate them.
I was watching the MJF thing the other day, and it's like Matt, and he's like, "Do you know how to tell them apart?" He's like, "Yeah, one has a high receiving hairline, who thinks that he's a tough guy, and the other guy is a midget who also thinks he's a tough guy," or some shit like that.
I gotta admit, I am an MJF mark. I like the dude. He's got 80s heat.
Let's see here. China.
I liked her in the beginning. I liked her, when she was coming up with DX and that. A lot of these people I've seen before they became, like on broadcast TV and stuff like that.
Right.
When they were coming up. She was good, but then after that whole Triple H fiasco, it's like,
the WWE spinner title.
I got 2 of them.
I hate those.
I can't say I hated them. It was different. You know what I mean?
I'll say this. They look good when they're restoned and stuff like that. They're really pretty with all the diamonds. Oh my God. Just from actually design, to me, they're fucking horrible looking.
For that time it came out, I would say it was okay, but then as it moved on and on and on, it kind of just fell off to me.
To me, they kept it around too long also, and that was a lot of the problem with it. RVD.
RVD, I'm still a fan of RVD, and I was a fan back then in ECW. When I first seen him come out, and I'm like, oh, look at this guy. He's acting like he's Jean-Claude Van Damme. When he did the splits and everything, and I was like, just to see.
Remember trying, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme's cousin right there, don't you? Or that's his nephew, or they'd be always trying. They're related, man. That's why you're like, come on.
That was
dude.
Paul Heyman, and what's his name? The announce guy. They're like, oh yeah, that's his nephew.
As we use the Metallica song that we don't own the carpet rights to, for Sam.
Oh man, yeah.
Don't tell nobody. JR,
I love him as a commentator. I really like him. He was real strong in commentating. JR, good old JR, as he's getting older, he's had his strokes and stuff and had his health issues. I see if JR hangs it up, I think he's done. Like life-wise. I think he's still doing it to keep himself alive, what he went through with his wife and everything. And it's a guy who bleeds in, for the business.
Pretty good podcast he's got. Billy Kidman.
Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman was good in the WCW era. And of course, another case of bringing him over to the E.
Brian Pillman Jr.
Brian Pillman Jr. I actually see a lot of his dad in him. To be honest with you, when his dad first started.
To me, he's super douchey. That's just
he comes off like that, but I think the kid has what it takes, though. I've been watching him and following him. And
but it's also one of those things that they need to like step away from doing the so much comparison. I hate that. Stop
exactly.
trying to be Brian Pillman. Like,
be your own person.
Yeah. Let's see here. Kurt Angle.
I was a fan of Kurt Angle's. Still am today. Even at the Olympics, when I seen him in the Olympics with a broken freaking neck. Dude had the professional. I mean, he was a wrestler, like a wrestler, not a sports entertainer.
He told a story that some matches that he would have, it would be his idea of a dream match is almost not to throw a punch. Not to throw a punch. And that's why he thought he might have threw 2 punches in a match with Benoit.
Do you remember the match?
The rest of it was technical wrestling.
Yeah. Do you remember the match he had with Daniel Porter when he did the Tough Enough thing?
Yeah.
And he called him out in the middle of the ring. You know that was real, right?
Mm-hmm. I think he just caught him off guard, and he wasn't ready for it. Is what it was. He wasn't ready to fight. Kurt was not fucking ready, and he thought, okay, here comes this chump who's got no wrestling background whatsoever, and Kurt didn't realize the kid had fucking background wrestling. That's why he got the best of Kurt so quick, because Kurt wasn't sick. If Kurt would have known that kid was skilled, that probably would have never happened.
Yeah, if he knew he had the MMA background, he would have known right ahead of time.
Yeah, he would have been prepared and ready. He wasn't ready. That kid come there and scooped him. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, fuck.
And after that, they buried that kid, and that's when The Miz took over.
Yep. Yokozuna.
Yokozuna, big fan of Yoko.
Me too.
But
when I was a kid, I hated him, of course, because he was a bad guy, when I was a kid. So, but the older I got, the more I love Yoko. I remember being a kid and finding out that him and Mr. Fuji really wasn't from Japan, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, I know. That threw me off. I'm like, he's Samoan. I'm like, holy shit.
Both of them are from Samoa. I was like, what the fuck? They're both Samoan? Yeah. What? They're both from Hawaii? Like, what?
That blew me away. Even my wife was like, he was Samoan?
Yeah, he's fucking Samoan. Man, it's crazy how WWF fooled me when I was a kid a lot about that kind of shit. About people being from countries that they wasn't really
Look
from.
At Nikita Koloff.
Yeah.
Who would have known he was a redneck from Georgia?
Pulled that shit off.
I was like, holy shit.
Dude got skills. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this one up. I want to thank Mr. Warden for coming and sitting down. Everyone getting to know Warden a little bit better. I have just confirmed that the next show up will be Mr. Josh Steele, the current Bare Bones champion. He will be the next show up for Behind the Voice. If you want to participate in the Behind the Voice, reach out to me. Still want to continue to bring people on. It'd also be nice that if you're watching and if you don't promo with us, but you promo somewhere else, maybe I could bring someone on that's outside of our locker room. Someone from Elite Marks or someone from FTW or something like that. That would be cool also. So
this is actually the first time I'm doing this. I hope, if you don't mind, if I'd like to mention something to everybody in the group. We all are here to have fun and just, and just do our thing. You know what I mean? The reason why I got into this promo stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, and nobody else has heard this, and I'll share it with this group and this group only. This promo thing and the belt hobby actually saved my life. I'm going to be honest with you. And that's why I'm so devoted to doing this. And, that's why I like to help the other guys coming up and even help out. And I don't mind if anybody reaches out to me, for advice or anything. But like I said, this promo thing, the belt hobby saved my life. A couple of years back, I was thinking bad things and it brought me out of it. If it wasn't for this today, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd be around.
I hear that.
So that's why I see some of the guys, just because you think you're not doing good doesn't mean nobody's watching you and seeing the potential in you. You know what I mean? Don't take a loss as something bad. Take a loss as something that you work on. The next time you get better, then the next time you even better, you lose a match. And every time you lose, you learn to lose. And then when you learn to lose, you know what it is to win. That's just my thought, man. I just wanted to share that with everybody here. That's a little bit of something that nobody's ever heard from me.
Well, there you have it, sir. Thank you for taking time out of your night. Everyone else,
thanks for having me on, man. Like I said, this is the first time I've actually done something like this, so it was cool.
Do not forget that the 14th, we have Fight Night that is coming up where Mr. Warden here will actually be going after the Bare Bones Championship from Josh Steele. It's going to be very, very interesting.
The first time we've ever faced. Yeah.
Oh, really? The first time? So that's awesome, man. That's kick ass. I'm glad I booked something that ain't happened a million one fucking time.
It's been a match in the making, put it that way. I know Josh has been wanting to work with me for a while behind the scenes. Like I said, I mostly talk to some of the guys behind the scene, and if they want to reach out to me, I'm cool. You know what I mean? Big Sweets reached out to me and stuff like that, and everybody's reached out to me because I've been doing this for a while. And it's like everybody, like even yourself, you're like, how do you do this? You're like, hey, you want to be in a match? And I'm like, sure. You know what I mean? Book it. Do I care if I lose or I win? Hey, if I win, it's good. If I lose, oh well. You know what I mean? You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and then you take those losses, use them as an experience. Figure out what the hell you're doing wrong. Well, Mr. Warden, Revolution, y'all have a good night.
They don't know me, they know they can't hold me. The one and the only, they call him OG. I come from the bottom, say get 'em, I got 'em. As soon as I spot 'em, get swept off your feet. Hit 'em with the blah blah, chicka chicka pop pop. Show you how to run a motherfucker 16. Put some robot Briscoe on the motherfucking beat. Bitch, you put us together when you want some heat. They say I'm too country, they say I'm too street.